We're at the Business Today Tech Today Congress, and I'm joined by Mr. Mahankali Srinivas Rao of T-Hub. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. I'd like to start by asking what we're going through in the startup ecosystem is being known as a long funding winter. When do you see this ending, or is it anytime soon, or should we still sit back and see the repercussions unfold?
Sure. So I think like I was saying, there is 2021 was a year of irrational exuberance. It's almost like a scorching summer followed by a winter. So obviously there are several factors which have contributed to this. Obviously interest rates have gone up, so that plus geopolitical tensions have got aggravated, etc. Supply chain disruptions have happened and all of that. So reality is funding has slowed down. But again, if you start peeling the onion a little bit and start looking at where is the maximum impact being felt, I think it's really been in the later stage startups, right? And why is that so? Because I think it's a fundamentally now, given the interest rates, particularly in the developed world, changing, I think people are starting to look at where do we start to see companies get to profitability. So I think the focus for a long time was growth at all costs. Now I think there is some temperance, some sanity returning. It's about saying, show us the path to profitability, show us how at a unit level, unit economics level, you can start making money. So I think this is good in a way. I think we had some irrationality, crypto and all of those things. Now sanity is returning. Now fundamentally, people will start building businesses both based more on solving real problems and also on ensuring that you get to profitability quickly, right? It was some ways a travesty that for example, many large unlisted entities were valued significantly higher than their than listed companies without showing any evidence of profitability either currently or even in the near term. So I think this is a much overdue correction. There will be some pain for sure, but I think good companies built on robust operating principles, good governance, building innovative solutions which solve large problems will continue to thrive and scale.
So just like survival of the fittest, it's going to be funding of the profitable.
Correct. I think so. One more thing, right? When a situation like this happens, it forces all entrepreneurs to start really doubling down, start looking at the fundamentals of their business, start focusing on really should we be doing the many things we are trying to do, or start focusing on a core set of things, which are what is really going to drive growth and growth at a profitably, right? So I think that's what's going to happen now.
But at such a time, would you say there are certain sectors that would still pick up, and which sectors do you foresee would still survive irrespective of a winter, summer?
Sure. So I think, again, when you think about it, right, India, I think one challenge which has happened in India has been that to some extent, a lot of funding was predicated on consumption-led growth. And reality is when you think about it in India, right, there are only about 100 million people who are really been part of this whole consumption, led growth start. So for example, if you take, a company like company say Zomato, for example, in the consumer tech space. For all the time they've been around, they have about 50 million consumers out of 1.3 billion people, right? So still a small percentage of the population. So I think what will happen now is companies which focus on solving. So we are seeing a lot of positive things happening, right? So we are seeing the digital stack, the UPI part. We're also seeing ONDC coming on. Then we're seeing the health stack getting built. So I think companies which solve fundamental problems related to, for example, our supply chains are still not where they should be. So for example, areas around supply chain optimization, areas around, for example, if you take AI, right? How can you use AI to solve many of the complex challenges we have in areas like agri, for example, and so on, right? So I think healthcare clearly, agriculture, right? Mobility, I think everybody is now talking about sustainability in a big way, sustainability and climate related issues. So I think you'll start to see now some very interesting companies from that space coming out. Similarly, frontier tech like space tech, etc. So I think you'll start to see a small shift, gradual shift away from from not just vanilla e-commerce, but really to some things which are more fundamental and solving grassroots level challenges.
Sure. In one of our previous issues of Business Today, we've spoken about artificial intelligence, and a pertinent question there is, in its current form, as we see it today in terms of ChatGPT and other generative tools, would you say AI is a friend or a foe?
Could be both. Could be both, right? If in the right hands and used responsibility, it can create significant transformation. But in the hands of bad actors, it could be potentially disruptive, almost cataclysmic, if you will.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you. Thank you.